Make a round, brilliant, faceted gemstone-like cookie with me as part of the gemstone cookie set where we dip cookies and decorate. Start by creating 4 dots in the shape of a square. Harder than you might think. And then again, oh, I got ahead of myself. Once you have those 4 dots, you're going to pipe lines to make that a full square. And this is another time where if I had made dots with my scribe instead of piping them, there just wouldn't have been that extra bulk of icing right there. That's purely it. I'm being very nitpicky with how this looks because I do actually think my line work is okay. But I have that extra bit. Okay, now you're going to come in and you're essentially going to make a square turned 90 degrees. And so you want 4 dots. I'm trying to make them as small as possible at this point because I've already thought they look a little too bulky. And this is going to go over the top. So we're making another square, connecting those 4 dots together. And we want kind of those corners of the first square peeking out. That is part of this faceted design. And some keys to having good lines here is going slowly. It honestly, the slower you go, kind of the better the line work goes, and letting your icing really flow out of the piping bag and not so much forcing it out of the piping bag. Now here, I'm just kind of trying to correct that line a little bit. Once you have those 2 squares overlapping one another, you're going to pipe a line from each corner to the end of the cookie. And you can see I'm not touching my piping bag to the cookie. I'm letting my icing just barely flow out of the piping bag and fall onto the cookie. And this can help me not have those big blobs of icing at the end. Like I said, there's a lot of factors to how you get those blobs of icing. So it can be a number of things. One of the factors is letting your icing fall out of the piping bag freely. Okay, now that you have lines from each corner going out, in between each of those lines, put a dot on the edge of the cookie. And you just want them halfway between each of those lines. And like with the first cookie, what we're going to do is create kind of diamond triangle shapes here. So you're going from the corner to that dot on the edge of the cookie again. And you're just going to continue this all the way around, creating these sort of triangles. I don't want to fully commit to saying they're a triangle because there are technically 4 sides to this. You piped 2 of them already. But we're making like a triangle shape. One thing that I would probably change about this cookie is I'd make the squares a little bit bigger. At the end, I just felt it looked a little too liney, if that makes any sense. And I wished the squares in the middle were, I don't know, like a centimeter bigger, kind of all the way around. Now, I was ending with a little bit too much, I don't want to say blobs. There was a little too much extra icing of lines on the edge of the cookie, so I grabbed my scribe to kind of scrape that away, just straight down the side of the cookie to get rid of that extra icing. And we're just going to continue from corner to dot. And you can see my line broke a little bit there. Instead of trying to immediately fix it, I just want to finish my line and very slowly go back and pipe a little bit of extra icing just on that spot. And I don't want to try and just do that spot. I want to continue a little further, again, so I don't get any clumps or lumps coming through. So we have one more of these triangles, for lack of a better term, to pipe on. And then we're once again going to outline the edge of the cookie with just a border of that white icing. Lining icing is what I wanted to say there. Don't know if that makes any sense. And the trick to having just a steady, good line is to let the icing fall out of your piping bag. You can see that pretty clearly here. And don't worry about if maybe you missed the edge of the cookie. I totally did a little second ago. It's fine. It's still going to look good and complete your cookie. And there is our round brilliant cookie. It is one of 3 in this faceted gemstone opal dipped set. Give it a try.